Welcome to Cox San Diego Connection. This episode is about access to food and good nutrition. Most of us don't think twice about having something to eat or to snack on, but there are a lot of people all over the world, and definitely right here in San Diego, who don't enjoy that luxury. Our first guest is working very hard to ensure everyone can not only put food on their table, but can enjoy it. She is Myrtle Cole, council member for the 4th District with the City of San Diego. Welcome, Myrtle. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Why is this subject so near and dear to your heart?
Well, because, Council District 4 has been left out. We are an unhealthy community, and I want us to be healthy. I want us to have the same things that the other districts have. I want us to have good options, quality options. I want us to have grocery stores, quality grocery stores, and so that we can eat good food and be healthy and maintain, our fitness.
Why do you think the stores or the chains, the Vons of the world and Ralph's and Safeways, why do you think they're hesitant to come into the 4th District and other parts of San Diego for that matter?
Well, Ralph's is in our district. It's in Paradise Hills. The other stores, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I shop at Vons. I'm a Vons baby. I love Vons, and I want Vons to come in. We're going to go and talk to them. They might not know our spending dollars, so I'm going to let them know our spending power in the 4th Council District. But again, Ralph's is already in our district. I want an Albertsons, if we can get an Albertsons. I want a Trader Joe's, if we can get a Trader Joe's. And I'm going to go out and seek out those companies, make sure that they know our spending powers, and get them to invest and be in our district.
Talk about that buying power, that economic punch that is in the 4th District. Why don't people see that and realize it?
Well, because they don't know our spending power. We spent $1.6 billion in our district. 817 million of those dollars went outside of our district on what? Groceries, restaurants, drugstores, retail. They did not know our spending power, but now we know it. 131 million of those dollars went to groceries, 110 on restaurants outside of our district. So once they start realizing our spending power, they'll come into our district, just like Walgreens. They're now going to open up a Walgreens on Euclid in our district. We did a groundbreaking about a month ago. So we're bringing them in because now they're realizing our spending power.
How do you court them, and how do you convince them that, hey, come in here where you're welcome and you will prosper in our district?
Well, with the help of Jacobs. Jacob has been a great resource, and they went to Walgreens and said, you know what, here's the spending power. We'll help you build, and we'll get the community behind you. You will be prosperous in our community. I helped Jacobs do that, and now Walgreens said, we're coming in.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about Myrtle Cole. I know we know you as a council member, but tell us about Myrtle Cole, the woman and the lady outside City Hall.
Myrtle was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, in a Christian-loving family. I think we were in church, raised in the church. I'm a Christian woman, and I was raised with values, with discipline. Matter of fact, I was raised not only by my parents, but we were raised by our neighbors. We were raised by teachers. Teachers didn't just teach us. They raised us. So that's who I am. That's where I come from. They said that, Myrtle, you can do anything that you want to do. You can be anyone that you want to be. And that's why I think where I am today, because they instilled those values and that discipline.
It sounds like you came from a loving, wonderful home, but you probably saw people who weren't as lucky. You probably had friends, perhaps, that didn't have everything that you did. Maybe in terms of food also. Is that something that's kind of shaped your view and yearnings to help people?
Unfortunately, not in Tucson, Arizona, maybe here in San Diego, because Tucson was a family of a village. If we didn't have food, we didn't know that because we all shared. So, but here in San Diego, I see some families that they don't have what we had in Tucson, Arizona, or in other districts. So I want to make sure that they have the same resources. They can have quality food, and they can have food every single day, that their children will not go hungry, not in my district.
How wide is that divide of the haves and have-nots?
It's wide, but that's why we're doing this minimum wage issue, to make sure that every family, every working family will prosper. So we're going to try and shorten that distance.
Mm-hmm. You just won an election recently. And you're going to be at City Hall for 4 more years. What are your plans over the course of the next 4 years when it comes to food access and other issues too facing the 4th District and the entire city of San Diego for that matter?
Well, again, I want to make sure that our citizens have options, that the people in my district has options. I don't want just a Food for Less or a Ralph's. I want them to have a Trader Joe's. I want them to have a Vons, an Albertson. So I'm going to make sure that we outreach to those companies and make sure that they come in. I want to make sure that we have farmers markets, make sure that our farmers market grows, because there's farmer markets in other districts and they're prosperous and they get fresh produce and flowers and things like that. That's what I want in my district. I want the same things that the other districts have. I want that in my district. So the next 4 years, we'll be talking about economic development. We'll talk about infrastructure. We filled 2,500 potholes in my district. So we're going to be talking about infrastructure, making sure that we have sidewalks, everything else that the other districts have. Public safety is another priority. We want to make sure that people are safe. When they're safe, they can prosper. So those are the 3 issues that I'm going to make sure that I take charge of and make sure that it happens in my district.
And you mentioned filling potholes. Is it going to be harder to do the potholes than fill some stomachs throughout San Diego?
We're going to do all of it. We're going to do all of it. But we need both. We need to make sure that our streets are safe and smooth. We need to make sure that our stomachs are filled. I'm going to do both, and I'm doing both with the help of Project New Village, Diane Moss and Robert Tambuzzi, who's educating people on healthy eating. We're going to do all that. We're going to make sure that the stomachs are filled and the potholes also are filled.
Well, good. Thank you, Myrtle Cole, for being with us. All the best to you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. We'll be back shortly with someone who is responsible for providing food for thousands of San Diegans on a daily basis. We'll show you just how they do it. Please stay with us.
Every day, we're inspired by students' passion for learning and their desire to pursue higher education. That's why Cox Communications and its employees award over $75,000 in scholarships to our Cox Scholars. Cox Care Scholars are selected from San Diego County for their ability to succeed despite adversity.
I will be paying my way through college myself, so it's pretty nice to get a scholarship to help me focus a little bit more on academics and less on how I'm going to pay for academics.
Congratulations, Cox Scholars. We wish you great success.
The USS Midway Museum wants to thank you, San Diego. Since dropping anchor in 2004, San Diegans have made the USS Midway the most visited naval ship in the world. 700 local volunteers donate nearly 250,000 volunteer hours a year. Membership has grown to more than 13,000 supporters. And San Diego teachers bring nearly 50,000 students a year on board to study. As we celebrate our 10th anniversary, you can help us achieve our vision of becoming America's living symbol of freedom. Thank you, San Diego, in partnership with Cox Communications.
We've been discussing access to food, especially for those who don't always have the means to walk into a supermarket and fill up the cart. Many depend on the kindness and generosity of places such as the Cushman Jacobs San Diego Food Bank. With us now is Jim Flores, who runs the food bank. Welcome, Jim. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
How has the face of hunger changed in San Diego?
Well, a lot of people are really surprised to find out who we actually serve. A lot of times they think, oh, you're serving the homeless, but less than 10% of who we serve are the homeless. Really, the face of hunger really is the working poor. It's people who are struggling to get by, people who just need that little bit of that hand up to help them provide food for their families.
And you help a large range of people. We're also talking military families. How do you help those folks?
It's pretty remarkable. We're serving about 320,000 people every month, and out of that 320,000, over 28,000 active duty military, their dependents and veterans every single month. And I think that's a pretty shocking state of affairs for our community.
You've become such a vital component of San Diego. Does it sometimes break your heart that you see so much need for your services?
There's absolutely. I mean, we are serving so many people in need, low-income seniors who are making a daily decision whether they're going to buy food or pay for their medication, pay for their utilities. But there's a whole other side of feeding people and feeding the community. It's not just about providing food, but proper food, proper nutrition. Nutrition-related disease is absolutely linked to poverty. So when people have less resources, they're not buying fresh produce, they're not buying protein. So we're seeing a generation of kids that aren't developing. The line between obesity and hunger is a very fine line. And when kids don't eat a proper diet, they don't develop, they're not able to get an education, which means they're not going to be able to get a good job, which means they're not going to be able to provide for their family. So now we're talking about a cycle of poverty that we're trying to break through, actually through proper nutrition.
You mentioned kids and summers here, and a lot of them are not going to school. These are kids who have meals at the schools. But you have a program and a slogan, "School's out, but hunger is not." Is this all part of the food bank's Food for Kids program that you have?
Absolutely. Well, we have our Food for Kids backpack program, and so during the school year, we have kids that don't eat over the weekend, so they get a backpack of food from us on a Friday, gets them to the weekend, and they come back on Monday and they turn in that backpack, and then we do it all over again on Friday. But what happens when kids are out of school? And so our summer food drive, what we do is we partner with schools and other community groups to make sure that food gets out in the community so these kids are being fed during the summer months.
And you have services, and your network is vast and it's spread out throughout the county. Tell us about how many people you serve and where the food supplies go, and you have hundreds of outlets throughout San Diego County.
You know, one of the things I really love about the San Diego Food Bank, we are truly the ultimate community resource. And you know, yes, we do our own distributions where we go out about 190 times each month at different locations and do food distributions. But the way we really impact the community is with our nonprofit partners. We have over 325 nonprofits that we partner with. So if you know a nonprofit that has a feeding program, they're most likely getting the majority of their food from us. So to me, that's broad appeal, that's grassroots. It could be a really big agency like Salvation Army or St. Vincent de Paul, down to a little church group that has a food pantry. To me, that's really cool.
How do you do it? Does it come into a central area and then you truck it out, or how does it work?
All of the above. I mean, we have our full fleet of trucks and semi-truck trailers and that sort of thing. Also, a lot of those nonprofit partners come in and they go online, they see what food's available, they place their order, and then they come and pick up that food.
And you're very creative when it comes to getting food out there. There's items that some people may deem them expired or about to expire. You take those, right, and you hand them out and put them to use.
You know, I've been with the food bank for about 18 months, and I think one of the things I was surprised to learn is those best use by dates on food, that's actually created by the manufacturer to turn products. So there are products that are good way past this best used by date. Some items are good 3 or 4 years past that. We have some tremendous partners, Vons, Albertsons, Stater Brothers, where they have this food that's nearing that date. They can't really sell them. They're perfectly good. We'll take that food and turn it around and get it out in the community right away.
How can people help the food bank? And they drop off bags and boxes of food, write a check, volunteer. Tell us about those opportunities to give back to you.
Lots of ways to support us. Go to the website, SanDiegoFoodBank.org. Obviously, food drives are great because we need that food and we need to get that out into the community. Volunteerism is a huge resource for us. We have about 20,000 volunteers, about 30,000 volunteer visits every year. It's over like $1 million in free labor. That's a big way that we're able to serve the community. And lastly is make a contribution. You know, with any nonprofit agency, you know, money reigns supreme, and there's a equation because of the money, because of the food we get donated, because of the food that we buy in bulk, and because of this huge volunteer base, we're able to take $1 and leverage that into 5 meals. So I don't know of a nonprofit where your donation can go so far.
Briefly, what's the future for the San Diego Food Bank?
Well, we estimate about 1 in 6 people in San Diego County are food insecure. That's about 460,000 people. So we're serving about 320,000 of them. So there's still people who are not being served. There's people out there that we're not reaching. We also would like to increase the amount of food and proper nutrition, as we talked about before, fresh produce. Last year we did 7 million pounds of fresh produce. We want to get that to 10 million pounds. So it's about feeding people, but a proper diet. So we're really focused on fresh produce.
Great. Thank you for being with us, Jim. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now, after a short break, we'll show you how a local group is training people here in San Diego to become self-sufficient when it comes to their food supply. We'll be right back.
Cox Communications and San Diego Habitat for Humanity have joined forces on Habitat's first Building for the Brave community in Lakeside. This community will serve those who have served us by providing affordable homes for disabled veterans and their families. The homes will be equipped with state-of-the-art furnishings adapted to the special needs of the veterans and will be sold to the families through a 0% mortgage. Cox Communications and all of our sponsors are proud to support Habitat for Humanity's Building for the Brave program.
I can't wait to make new friends, to go on an adventure, to explore new worlds, to have fun. I can't wait to be a Girl Scout. Start the fun now Join Girl Scouts today at joingirlscouts.com.
In 1945, Navy widow Barbara Cox christened the USS Midway, which served America for 47 years. Today, 45,000 students a year participate in field trips and educational programs through Midway University. USS Midway Museum salutes Cox Communications and the James M. Cox Foundation for a $1.5 million grant to expand Midway's educational programs as they build a bridge between the greatest generation and America's future generations.
Welcome back to Cox San Diego Connection. There's a group here in our area that you probably have never heard of, yet their work is known throughout the world. I'm talking about the International Rescue Committee, which helps people grow and sell their own food. With us now is Ralph Achenbach of the IRC. Welcome to our show. Tell us about the IRC and what you're about. Summarize the agency for us.
Sure. The IRC, International Rescue Committee, is a humanitarian aid agency. It was actually founded in 1933 at the suggestion of Albert Einstein, and today is on the ground in 40 countries all over the world, providing work in conflict and post-conflict development areas to refugees who've been forced to flee war or political persecution, religious oppression, or also others who have spent long years in the limbo of refugee camps.
And you would never think that would be something necessary here in San Diego, but I guess we do need it in San Diego.
That's right. Every year the federal government resettles about 70,000 refugees into the U.S., gives them sanctuary here, a safe haven, and an opportunity to rebuild productive lives for themselves and their families. So IRC also is on the ground in the U.S. In 22 cities, including San Diego, and it's been in San Diego since 1975.
Who wouldn't want to come to San Diego, huh? Tell us about the community gardens. I guess that's a big part of your work.
That's right, yes. IRC started in response to some of the needs that the refugee clients had expressed, looking for ways to help them transition into their lives here in the U.S. And because many refugees have deep agrarian roots, kind of getting reconnected to the land and having an opportunity to grow their own food was considered a paramount. And so IRC looked at literally staff riding their bicycles through the City Heights neighborhood, which is where most refugees have been resettled over the years, for empty lots, and found one, and then through a rather long process of going through all the permitting hoops, had it permitted as San Diego's first community garden. And it's now home to 85 refugees and neighboring families from neighborhoods and other immigrants as well. And it's really a green oasis.
Now, being San Diego, where land is at a premium, how hard is it to find lots, plots to grow this type of food?
It's extremely hard. And so growing from the community garden movement, several of the participants really honed their production skills and wanted to take it to the next level, not only provide for themselves and their families and their neighbors, but also kind of start feeding their communities, start going to farmers markets, selling to restaurants, and so on and so forth. So 3 years ago, IRC started a more robust farm training program at a larger scale, a plot in Palma Valley, so outside of Escondido, outside of Valley Center, where we have a 20-acre lease on a piece of land and helping refugees farm there. Of course, that's a far distance from City Heights or other metro areas, and so there's always need for more urban production space, and we're always on the lookout.
You talked about the training program briefly. Growing the food is one thing, but then you have to sell it. You have a business training program to help these people sell their products and make money.
That's right, yes. So we have a farm training program, farm business training program. Over the past 3 years, we've trained 60 refugees in farming skills. I mentioned earlier that they mostly have very deep agrarian roots, yet farming in the U.S. and in San Diego in particular is different. You need different techniques. And so we train them in sustainable farming to be good stewards of the land, organic farming principles and methods. And currently there's about 16 farmers from 11 different countries that are still actively farming and feeding their neighbors at farmers markets, restaurant sales, and also through a CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture Program.
And these are farmers who are the future of farming, because in San Diego and Southern California, farmers are sort of a dying breed, right?
You're absolutely right, yes. The U.S. as a whole is losing farmers to retirement at a rapid rate, but that's even more acute of an issue in San Diego. The average age of a farmer in San Diego is 60, and that's compared to about 56 across the nation. So we're losing farmers to retirement more rapidly than the rest of the nation. And the younger generation isn't necessarily there to step up and fill those spots. So it's very likely that those refugees and other immigrants also become the next generation of farmers in America.
Now, the IRC is involved in programs such as WIC, EBT, the SSI. How do you make those programs work even better with your clients?
So food access is one of the issues that we work on. So when refugees are resettled into the U.S., oftentimes they are faced with just an unimaginable amount of options and choice, labels that are difficult to read and sometimes misleading, even for someone who understands English perfectly well. And so one of the programs that we have leverages the WIC, SSI, EBT or CalFresh programs to make healthy food choices more accessible and more affordable. So those are programs that we run at 2 farmers markets, one at the Thursday afternoon El Cajon Farmers Market, weekly market from 3 to 7 there, and the other at the Saturday morning 9 to 1 farmers market in City Heights, where anyone who participates in any of those programs, WIC, SSI, or CalFresh EBT, has an option to get every dollar they spend at the market matched, dollar for dollar, to buy additional fruits and vegetables.
How can we help the IRC and your farmers? Is it being clients at the farmers markets, restaurants perhaps that carry the products that you grow?
Absolutely, yes. The most direct way to help support the refugee farmers in rebuilding their lives is to go to those farmers markets and buy their produce. We also have the CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture Program, where consumers like you and I can subscribe to a bag of produce that's grown by refugee farmers and receive that bag every week. It's kind of like a magazine subscription. You pay up front, you know you're going to get a magazine every week or every month. You just don't know exactly what's in it, and so you get you know you'll get a share of the harvest of the farmer, and you're just not quite sure what's in it. But the farmers also provide recipe suggestions, and it's a great way to support the farmers, also support your personal health, because you're eating healthy, you're eating local, you're eating fresh, and you know, to help support the local economy.
And it'll all be good stuff, I'm sure. Ralph, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. In a few minutes, we'll introduce you to a group based in the North County that is keeping people from going hungry. Please stay with us.
Every day, we're inspired by students' passion for learning and their desire to pursue higher education. That's why Cox Communications and its employees award over $75,000 in scholarships to our Cox Scholars. Cox Care Scholars are selected from San Diego County for their ability to succeed despite adversity.
I will be paying my way through college myself, so it's pretty nice to get a scholarship to help me focus a little bit more on academics and less on how I'm going to pay for academics.
Congratulations, Cox Scholars. We wish you great success.
The USS Midway Museum wants to thank you, San Diego. Since dropping anchor in 2004, San Diegans have made the USS Midway the most visited naval ship in the world. 700 local volunteers donate nearly 250,000 volunteer hours a year. Membership has grown to more than 13,000 supporters. And San Diego teachers bring nearly 50,000 students a year on board to study. As we celebrate our 10th anniversary, you can help us achieve our vision of becoming America's living symbol of freedom. Thank you, San Diego, in partnership with Cox Communications.
During today's program, we've been discussing access to food. There's a group here in San Diego called the Leishtalk Foundation, making sure no one goes hungry in San Diego and beyond. One person who works with the foundation is Annabelle Arari, and she joins us now. Welcome to the show. Tell us about the foundation, how it got started, and what you guys do here.
Sure. So the foundation works mostly in North County, San Diego, on issues of self-sufficiency and sustainability. I'm part of a fellowship program called the Jewish Food Justice Fellowship. It's 15 months, run by the Leishtag Foundation, and it's comprised of 3 components. The first being working with Jewish organizations in the county and helping them teach environmental education. The second is working on the newly acquired ranch in Encinitas and really being a thought partner and helping to develop it as a hub for sustainable agriculture and community engagement. And the third part of the fellowship is working with different nonprofits in San Diego that work on various issues of food justice.
Tell us about the ranch. It must be exciting to have something like this to offer to San Diego.
It's amazing. It's 67.5 acres. right in Encinitas, and we're really at the ground floor of developing it into a place for community engagement. We're working on having a community farm there, perhaps a CSA program, and many other things. We planted a vineyard there, so things are always changing and happening, and it's really exciting.
And are people from the community going to work it, or are you being volunteers? Tell us about that end.
We really try hard to engage the community, and we have different volunteer days. In the past, people have come for just sharing their opinion of what they'd like to see in the community. There's really been a lack of agriculture. It used to be the #1 place for flower growers, and now a lot of that has been turned into housing developments. So it's really bringing back this idea of farming the land and being connected to the earth.
What happens to the products and then the materials and the food grown at the ranch? How will you distribute that, and how will it benefit a lot of people?
The farm isn't, it hasn't started yet, but we plan to break ground very soon, and the plan is to have all the food from the farm be donated to the local food bank.
Okay. Now, living in San Diego is not cheap. How has the high cost of living in San Diego really affected hunger in our area?
Sure. So my placement is with the Hunger Advocacy Network, and we work on state-level public policies that reduce food insecurity in San Diego. And when I say food insecurity, that means not knowing where your next meal is coming from and being really vulnerable and at risk. As I'm sure you know, housing in San Diego is quite high, and so people are often making the choice between affording their rent, medicine, and last, perhaps, enough to eat. And that's really an issue that we're working on.
And you're helping the needy. We're talking children, seniors, even military families. That's a lot to do, unfortunately.
Definitely. Last year, the Hunger Advocacy Network was able to sponsor a bill called the No Hunger for Heroes Act, which essentially simplified the process for veterans to access CalFresh, which is California's food assistance program. And we're seeing lots of veterans and military families struggling to make ends meet, and the food banks and food pantries are the ones on the ground that are giving that emergency food aid that is definitely needed. And what my organization does is kind of working on the policies to shift that reality.
How can San Diegans help you, help others?
There's many ways. I think to really understand what people are facing, you can always volunteer at your local food bank or food pantry. If you're part of an organization that is working on issues of poverty and hunger, our network is always looking for more partners. And in terms of advocacy work, the best thing to do is call up your legislator and tell them that this is an issue that you care about.
On a personal note, what's the best part for you being involved like this, knowing you're helping so many people out there?
It's a great blessing. As a Jewish person and working for a Jewish organization, we really have a strong tradition of tikkun olam, which means repairing the world. And we really think the highest level of charity is to help people become self-sufficient. And I feel really blessed to be part of an organization that is working towards that.
Mm-hmm. You see yourself sticking with it and trying to recruit others to come in and do what you're doing now?
Absolutely. I'm so happy to share what I'm doing with others and think it's a great cause. It's something that many people are dealing with on a daily basis that we may not recognize. Food issues in America have become more prominent in terms of sustainability, in terms of access to food, in terms of hunger. So there's a lot of work to be done, and anyone who's interested, I encourage you to get involved.
Great. Thanks for being with us, Annabelle.
Thank you so
much. All the best to you. All right. Now, I'm Salvador Rivera, and on behalf of our guests and the employees of Cox Communications, we want to thank you all for watching Cox San Diego Connection, helping you learn and prosper.